yet? How'd that work?
Not you, I just done it once, so I didn't have anybody.
I was mayor of King.
Call order the Stokes County Board of County Commissioners meeting, May 13th, 2019 at 6 o'clock. As always, we'll go ahead and start off the invocation. It's Commissioner Morse's turn.
Please stand and join in if you like. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of meeting here tonight to do the county business. We thank you for the freedom to have these meetings and also do that business. We ask that you lead, guide, and direct us as we go forward, be it those who are sick and need healing. And these things we ask in your most gracious name. Amen.
Amen. Please continue to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, start off with the approval of the agenda. Have a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
A motion to have a second.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next, we'll go ahead and move on to our comments from our county commissioners and our manager. And I'll start down here with Commissioner Morse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see the folks here and hopefully a lot of folks watching on the internet as well. Just a couple things I'd like to mention. First of all, I've got my second monthly office hours tomorrow night from 4 to 7 in room 325 upstairs. Feel free to come and talk if you want to talk about something. I'll have this new budget with me and we can talk about that if we can't find anything else to talk about. But I'll be there from 4 until 7. Also, I just want to let you know I'll be blogging our budget meetings when we start doing those as well, along with the regular meetings. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Morse. Commissioner Walker.
Thank you, sir. I'd sad that, first of all, it's good to see all of you. Have a few new faces and have an assortment of regulars, but good to see all of you here, no matter what your reason might be, and hope you'll find your time well spent. Kind of sad no one came to see Commissioner Morris, 4 to 7. I might drop by and see you tomorrow. At least somebody will have come to see you.
Come on over.
We'll sit and talk a while. As you might have noticed, we have something new and still getting used to it. I'm a computer alien, not a computer native, so I'm still getting acquainted with our laptops. We're, for the most part, paperless. There are exceptions and some reasons for exceptions, but generally speaking, we'll be using these, I guess, from now on. The new way of doing things. I think I'm going to like it when I get used to it. And again, good to see all you folks, and hope you'll find our meeting productive. I'll stop there because I'm running out of things to say. How about you, Commissioner Yoss?
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to also welcome everyone tonight. Weather's beautiful for a change. Nice sunny afternoon, and no place you'd rather be, right, than right here with us. So thank you guys for coming out. It's great to be back. I hate I missed the meeting last month. I was in Indianapolis with business, so leadership training. And if anyone's wondering, it may or may not have done any good. We'll determine that later. So again, welcome and enjoy your time. Thanks.
Well, May,
That's all.
thank you. Thank everyone for being here tonight. It's always a pleasure to see the community come out. I'm not going to say very much tonight. It's a welcome. I had a root canal done about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I'm not feeling very good tonight. Anybody that's had a root canal done, you know how that feels. So I took about 3 extra strength Tylenol and had my wife drive me over here, and I made it. And but once again, thank y'all for coming out, and I want to welcome you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Manhole. It's good to have you back from vacation right there.
Thank you.
We got to see Hawaii. We're still waiting for that picture of him in the grass skirt walking around. So, but thank each and every one of y'all for being here. We know there's other places you could be at, and you decided to be with us, and we appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our county manager, Mr. Oakley.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to let you know that I attended the DARE program up in Pinnacle last week. It was the fifth graders having their pledge of not doing the illegals and so on, but it was very nice and very moving with one of the individuals that was there that had lost a child because of drugs. And it was just very touching. So I wanted to mention that. Other than that, I do welcome everybody that's here. And I hope you enjoy the night because we're going to have a new budget hopefully in a few weeks. So with that, would you like me to lead into that?
Yes, sir.
With that, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Andy Nicholson, Honorable Jimmy Walker, Honorable Ronnie Mendenhall, and Honorable Richard Morris, and Honorable Jamie Yachts, Commissioners of Stokes County and residents of Stokes County. It is my privilege to present to you the recommended budget for the 2019-20 fiscal year. In accordance with the General Statute of North Carolina, the budget is balanced and prepared under the guidelines of the North Carolina Local Government Budget Fiscal Control Act. A copy of this document has been filed with the clerk to the board and posted on the county website, where it is available for the public to inspect. My 2019-20 proposed budget, with a tax rate of 62 cents per $100 valuation, is a total amount of both tax rates, general county 31 cents and the school current expense fund of 31 cents. These two were presented to the board and the citizens of Stokes County the first time in 2018 budget. After receiving an overwhelming response in favor of these two taxing entities, it is my recommendation that we keep these rates the same in the 2019-20 budget. In keeping with these current tax rates of 31 cents for the county, 31 cents for the school, 4 cents for the dedicated fund, and 8 cents for all the fire districts, this will be the 5th consecutive year without a tax increase. No county property tax increase, which I am recommending for this budget. The purpose of the county's annual budget process is to develop a fiscally responsible plan that enables the organizations to accomplish the priorities established by the Board of County Commissioners. The priorities in this budget are based on the guidelines from the Board of Commissioners received during the budget goal session during the month of January that relied upon a conservative budgeting philosophy to balance service demands with available funds. There were 5 areas of priorities established during the budget goal session by the commissioners. Number 1 was safety in all of our schools. Number 2, high-speed internet provided to all the citizens. 3, studies done on several areas of interest, including water, sewer, recreation, wellness, and 5-year comprehensive plan on all of our buildings and the health and structure of it. 4 is the economic development of this county, and 5 is the right sizing of our employees based on the needs and services of our county. The request was all for this to be done without a tax increase. Large task. But I think we can do it. We're going to have to possibly use some general fund balance to meet this. And making sure that the fund balance stays above 25%. These decisions have been made without negatively impacting the deliveries of services to the public. Balancing the budget requires a thorough analysis of the county's revenue stream combined with attempting to meet the request of each of the county's departments. My primary goal were to present a balanced budget while preserving a high quality of services to the citizen, combined with meeting as many of the goals we can allow. After reviewing the county's revenue sources and the initial budget request, the general county departments were submitted to the budget team, we arrived with a general fund budget deficit of $6,254,981, or the equivalence of 16.1 cent tax increase. Some requests were approved, some were reduced, and some was totally eliminated. But all of these requests by the county departments were not taken lightly by the budget team. We thought critically about each and every one of the requests, and the conclusion was based on the overall well-being of our citizens of Stokes County. During the budget goal sessions held in January, the commissioners expressed their concern in making sure that our schools had safety measures in place in direct correlation with the Sheriff's Department and the Board of Education. SRO officers are at every school is the forefront of this, as well as the school safety being one of the top 5 priorities established by the board. In the 2019-20 budget, I have not recommended these positions, nor has the sheriff placed it in his budget. But if the board moves forward with funding the SRO officers, the total cost would be $756,175, which will equal 2 cents on the tax rate increase in providing revenues needed for this from either the general fund or the dedicated fund. This would allow the school system to use the Title 19 funds and the matching grant funds for school expense or capital outlay in other areas that is much needed by the schools. Stokes County Emergency Medical Service continues to have difficulties in retaining qualified personnel to provide adequate medical services to our citizens of Stokes County. This issue is not unique to Stokes County, but rather an epidemic across the state and our country. For smaller counties like Stokes, it is even more a problem due to not having the revenues for alternative plan of retention. In the past, EMS has requested better working hours such as 24/72 and being paid true time and a half for overtime worked instead of half time per facet. In implementing the work schedule such as a 24/72 work week and true overtime, it would cost the taxpayers approximately 2.12 cent tax increase, and that is needed to generate $825,000 to provide the revenues for staffing for this type of work week. Communication staff, shift supervisors changes will need to be done as well for the 24/72 at a cost of $119,000, generating another 0.3 cent tax increase for the estimate total increase of 2.4 cent. I have not recommended these in this new budget, but it is there for the commissioners to consider as it being one of their priorities in the top 5. Another option for smaller counties is to pay the true overtime while continuing the 24/48-hour work week schedule. This would be approximately half the cost of the requested 24/72 at $476,000 for EMS. This would be worst case scenario if an individual never took any time off. You have to budget this way to make sure that the money and revenues are there to take care of anything. Is always a worst case scenario. If approved and is set in motion, the county will acquire also to be paid the communications as well, generating another $67,000, which is giving you a total cost of $543,000, and which is an equivalent of 1.4 cent tax increase. This I have not also recommended in my budget, but it is there for the commissioners to consider and to take in what order they would prefer doing. In December 2015, Stokes County elected to contract with LifeStar to provide services transporting basic life support of patients to and from doctor's visits and from hospitals and from nursing home and senior care facilities. The revenues in reinstating this service to our citizen will produce on an average of $560,000 per year based on a 3-year data collection from LifeStar itself that has to be produced and given to our EMS station for verification of their type of service performed. It is my recommendation That the county reinstates this service effective January 1 of 2020, which gives 6 months of revenue billing at approximately $265,000 based on their earnings. The contract with Lifestar is up in December of 2019. Within 3 years, the county will make enough revenues to help cover the EMS department's cost in helping it. And and when we take up the budget, the work sessions, commissioners, you will be provided the data that's from Lifestar that will show you, what was, revenue made on the 9/11 convalescents and appointment transports to the hospital. I am recommending a 2% cost of living COLA in the amount of $303,000, including benefits, for all full-time and part-time employees affected for the pay period beginning 7/13/19, and to apply the 2% to the current salary grade step schedule. This begins the process of making Stokes County more competitive with our workforce and hopefully relieve some of the turnover pressures that our departments are experiencing. The requested budget includes 42 new positions at a total cost with benefits of $1,963,000, with $1,530,000 being funded from the general fund. My recommendation of this includes only 17 new positions with a total cost of $723,549, which includes also the benefits, with $339,800 funds being funded through the general fund. Also, this includes 32 reclassifications increases at a total cost of $185, including benefits. Based on the county employment data collected by the State of North Carolina Association of County Commissioners for the year of 2018-19 adopted budget, the last year in which position counts are available for county government, Stokes County had the lowest number of employees per 1,000 residents of all of the like-sized counties within the comparable population at 6.5 positions. The average for all counties is 9 positions per 1,000 residents. My recommendation includes 38 reclassification step increases at a total cost of $230,000, including benefits, with $212,900 funded from the general fund. This is more of an increase than what was actually requested, but I am requesting some of the department heads that were not in the requested budget because they didn't request for themselves. And I believe that the department heads needs to be placed on in an area that where they are equally with each other. But the board will look into this further. During the month of March, Stokes County Board of Commissioners approved the leasing contract with Enterprise, which everyone knows. This agreement will begin in April the 1st. And by July 1st, we will be having our first cars delivered to us. For the first time ever, Stokes County will lease, and over the years has looked to take and provide cars for our workforce that has the ability to be able to get you back and forth where you're going to. Currently, 57% of the light to medium duty vehicles in Stokes County are over 10 years old. Older vehicles are less fuel efficient, have more maintenance costs, and tend to be unreliable. At the present rate, it would take 18 years to cycle out the entire fleet on the current acquisition rate that we are under. Enterprise Fleet Management proposes to save the county resources and budget dollars through the managed vehicle program while providing safer, dependable vehicles for our working staff. It is my recommendation that $800,000 be placed in capital reserve funds, $200,000 for HVAC, $500,000 for economic development, and $100,000 for jail revenues for debt payment in case of emergency on the new jail. I am recommending that 2.5 million be placed in capital project funding. The projects are as following: a new EMS station in the Wanacove area, remodeling the 2 solid waste transfer sites at B Wanacove and Pinnacle. The new fueling station that is needed will either be in Meadows or, if everything works out right, in Danbury, depending on where the commissioners decide to do. Storage maintenance building and a new solid waste building scale house at our landfill on Sizemore Road. These projects will be funded by multiple sources, including financing, regional sewer fund, Danbury water and sewer fund, and capital reserve. Also in this budget, I am requesting the Board of Commissioners to consider the possibility of providing funds that will allow the expansion of water and sewer in several areas of the county. This will allow the growth of industrial, commercial, and business and help reduce the tax burden on our citizens and residential communities. Details are in the budget of all these areas for you to consider. Over the past several years, Stokes County has been blessed to see the construction of a beautiful community center health facility in the community of Pine Hall, totally financed by the Petrie Trust Fund. Recently, Stokes County has received more funds from the trust in the amount of $318,000 to provide a picnic shelter and hiking trails, again at no cost to the taxpayers. This project should be completed during the new budget cycle with the citizens of Stokes County and the Pine Hall community, or anywhere in Stokes County and our adjoining counties, citizens, if they like, to come and enjoy this wonderful new park addition. Per the North Carolina General Statute, local Board of Educations have until May the 15th of each year to submit their proposed budget to the county. As of this writing, the county has not yet received the Stokes County Board of Education request for the year. While we do not yet know what will be requested, I am recommending current expense remain the same with the exception of all new growth that took place over the year of 2018 calendar year. The capital reserve funding to remain the same. The budget, the school expenses would be $12,358,790, and capital reserve would be at $1,780,000. Mr. Chairman, a mandatory public hearing for the proposed 2019-20 budget has been scheduled for 7 p.m. in courtroom A of the Stokes County Government Center on Monday, June the 31st. That's 2019. A copy of this budget will be placed on the county website for all public viewing. Also, I'm asking the commissioners to look over their budget, and in the near future, let me know what department heads or departments that you would like to have attend any of the budget work sessions due to their request and what I have recommended for them. That way I can have some idea of what areas that need to come in and address the commissioners' questions and allow time for them to set a schedule for it. Attached, you will also see a budgeting brief of the county's expenditures and revenues along with some of the major changes in this year's proposed budget. It'll be a one-page thing and you'll see where it's coming from, where it's going. Also attached, you will see inside the budget to where all the departments have made their recommendations and what their request and what I recommended on one page, so it'd be easier for you to look and view what's going on. But inside the budget, I have all areas broke down in detail explaining what is going on to the best of my ability. I would like to thank the Board of Commissioners for providing the guidance and valuable assistance in helping me and the budget team, which is Julia, Shannon, Lisa, a lot of us sitting down, putting long hours into making sure that we provide or do a budget that is, that would provide the services that Stokes County citizens need and deserve. With the development of my recommended budget, I am looking forward in working with each and every one of you in completing and implementing the final budget for our county departments and the citizens of Stokes County. It is my understanding the school board did approve their budget on the 5th, and we have received this on the 6th. But as I said, as of the writing of my budget, I did not have it at that time. So it is my hope that the school board and the Board of Education will be able to find time that they both can sit down and discuss the needs of our staff, the teachers, and our children of Stokes County, and making sure that our education and their safety and all areas are met to the best of our abilities. And I'm sure that you will do that. With that said, Mr. Chairman, I am finished, and here, and the budget hearing will be May 31st?
We worked so hard, we made an extra day in June, evidently, I don't know.
Oh.
June- It says June, I'm not sure where that, yeah, it says June 31st, which there is no June 31st, but.
And I
May
tried
May
to
31st.
make sure I found all the errors in this thing, but one still got by. And leave it to Shannon to find it for me.
Well, I should have found it before, but I've looked at it so many times.
But anyway, please apologize for that. So let's just make sure that you correct that. That is Monday, May the 31st instead of June the 31st. Okay. If you wait to June the 31st, we're in trouble.
Right. I was about to ask you, did it change leap year and leap day?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
Mr.
okay.
Manager, thank you so much for doing it, and each and every one of y'all for putting in the hours and the work of getting this together. I'm sure we've got,
It's Friday, the 31st. Yeah,
Good.
we'll get that public hearing in there somewhere.
Is the day off also?
It's Friday, yeah, the 31st. I don't know where that date came from. No.
Who knows?
Again, your school request is in the back. Or in capital.
thank you, Julie. All right.
What?
Sounds like we got a little bit of work ahead of us. Looking forward to getting on the NHL. I see the excitement in your faces. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to our public comments. We'll start with Miss Ellen Perrick, and if you don't mind, just say your address, and you have 3 minutes to talk.
Sure. Ellen Perrick, 1095 Wheeler Smith Road, Lawsonville. I'm here to give you an update on the arts. At the Apple Gallery for the month of May, we have Fran Speet, and she does mainly landscapes and some farm animals in oils and pastels. She's worked in local galleries for 33 years as a framer, and now retired, she devotes her time to painting. Her reception was Friday, May 10th, and at her reception, she sold over 6 paintings. So it was a very good reception for her. She's well known in the area. On May 18th, we're having another barn quilt class. The spring barn quilt class that we just had was so popular, we added another day. And this one's a 2-foot by 2-foot birchwood quilt square. You don't have to be professional. This is for beginners to advanced. And you have 7 designs to choose from, and you can paint your barn quilt. Come here, North Carolina, the 2019 Music Celebration finishes up this Sunday with Susie Boggess. She's one of, the show has been, I don't think there's very many tickets left. There might be 5 tickets left. I think we sold about 160 tickets for this show. She's one of the most acclaimed female country singers of the late 80s and 90s. And she had several top 10 singles, and her album, Aces, was certified platinum. So she's going to be there at 4 o'clock on Sunday, May 19th. On May 25th, we're celebrating the Women of Jazz, excuse me, with Andrea Templin. That's May 25th, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Andrea can do all kinds of genres of music, but she's celebrating Ella, Billy, Nina, and more as in the jazz genre on May 25th. And our big fundraiser of the year, Art Shine, is coming up June 1st, Saturday, 2 to 4:30 p.m., and it's going to be held this year at Moore Springs Manor, which is a beautiful setting for painters to be painting on site. We're going to have the Matt Kendrick Trio from Winston. They're going to do the music. And we're bringing in a food truck this year for something new. It's called the Pacific Rim Food Truck. We're going to have additional hors d'oeuvres on site and an art auction live and silent. So this is a fundraiser. We appreciate any support we can get. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. And next we have Ms. Pam Tillman.
Pam Tillman, my address is 113 Gale Drive, King, North Carolina. Although some would say I reside up the road at Life Bright Community Hospital of Stokes, 1570 NC 889 Highway North in Danbury. I appreciate your support in your dual role as our hospital board of trustees, as the Stokes Mills Hospital Board of Trustees. I'm here tonight to invite you all and the community to our open house, which will be this coming Thursday, May 16th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the hospital. Our open house schedule includes hospital tours every 30 minutes from 4:30 to 6 p.m. These will start in our hospital lobby. We'll have health screenings in the therapy department from 4 to 6:30 p.m., which will include free blood pressure checks, balance screenings, and hand strength testing. In the front lobby, we'll have visual history, hospital history from 4 to 7. This will include a slideshow and photo albums of the hospital's history. We'll have refreshments from 4 to 7 p.m. in the cafeteria where you can register to win some door prizes. Life Bright Community Hospital of Stokes, we are more than just a healthcare facility. We are part of the community. At Life Bright Community Hospital of Stokes, our goal is to provide our community with the highest level of quality care and patient service right here at home. Our services provided are a 25-bed acute and swing bed unit, which is a short-term rehab unit. Our emergency department is open 24/7. We have outpatient and inpatient services to include laboratory, physical and occupational therapy, radiology, which includes CT, ultrasound and x-ray, and respiratory therapy. Our clinics include the Family Medicine Clinic here in Danbury, as well as the Family Medicine Clinic in Pine Hall, and we have a pediatric clinic in Danbury. In King, we have our surgical services, which are currently orthopedic, podiatry, and general surgery. We're adding ENT and dental surgeries and working to resume our cataract surgeries. We have been an integral part of the community since opening in 1954, so we want to open our doors. The staff are very excited. Been doing extra cleaning and sprucing up to invite the public in so the community can see that we are open for business and we want to be here to provide care for our community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you and let you know about our open house. Again, I'll offer to meet with any of you to answer any additional questions you might have about the hospital. I know that people, as you were going through your daily work, might have questions about the hospital and would like for you to be informed so that you can tell them how important the hospital is to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tillman. With that, we'll move on to our consent agenda. The budget amendments and the minutes and the 2019 local government agencies. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a motion to have a second?
A second.
Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nothing on any information agenda. Go on to discussion agenda. Our first thing up is the Charters of Freedom. We have Mr. Ron Lewis, and is David here with you also? Just you, okay.
Hello, Stokes County.
How you doing?
I'm well, and I hope that each of you are. The last time that we presented to you, David Streeter made that presentation, and I was in another county that night making a similar presentation. Tonight, you're gonna get me instead of David. Oddly enough, I enjoy these meetings because I was a county manager for over 30 years, working in 4 North Carolina counties as a manager. And if you mix my other time in other roles than manager, I had a total of 38 years. So I can confidently say that in my career and in the 5 years that I've worked with Foundation Forward and disaster recovery years, I have been in all 100 counties of North Carolina, some for longer times than others, but I have at least visited all 100 counties. And I want to say to you tonight that there's not a prettier place in North Carolina than Stokes County. And fight as hard as you can to keep it like it is. I know the economic developer and you want to see development, and that's good as long as it's properly done and done in the right way. And I just say that to you because you live in a crown jewel of North Carolina, and anyway, I'll go on.
Is it on for you on the side?
That'd be good.
I'll click it for you. I can do it. Yeah, I got you.
Jake, if I were to be a county manager again, I'd try to steal her.
Well, you can't have her.
You have an amazing clerk, and in the brief conversation that Jake and I had, you have a fine county manager too. And your Foundation Forward is a nonprofit, an educational nonprofit. We try to put the charters of freedom, which are the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, across North Carolina. We got pulled away from North Carolina when the word got out on what we were doing. And we now have settings in Illinois, Indiana, South Carolina, Kentucky, South Dakota, Nebraska, Utah, and we're talking with people all over the country. However, as an organization, we made a conscious attempt to get back to our original business plan, which is to build out North Carolina. That's why I'm here tonight and why we have continued to be in contact with Stokes County, because we want to help you place a Charters of Freedom setting in your beautiful county. We want future leaders. We want boys and girls of all ages, particularly targeting the 3rd and 4th graders, and then the high school ages as well. David Streeter develops educational material to help supplement the state curriculum, anyway, whatever it is, to help supplement the state materials that they use to teach our young folks about the founding documents of the country. Can we have the next slide? Anybody been to the National Archives building? Generally, in a group this size, about 10% of the hands go up. And our founder and president, Vance Patterson, tells people it took him 60 years to get there the first time. So if he's average, we got a lot of young folks in this country that aren't getting there. Now, when I ask the question if anybody saw the movie The National Treasure, there'll be many more hands that go up. No? Oh, we got a couple commissioners willing to admit that they saw The National Treasure. Well, you'll recall in the movie The National Treasure, they stole the Declaration of Independence from the National Archives building. And it was an interesting endeavor that they went. Next slide. The National Archives building is very impressive. It's very formal. You walk through these big bronze gates and suddenly you're there in this huge rotunda with the founding documents. The Declaration of Independence is on the left, the 4 pages of the Constitution are in the middle, and the Bill of Rights is on the right side. As hard as our country has attempted to preserve those documents, they have deteriorated significantly. You can hardly read them, particularly the Bill of Rights. Next slide. That's looking down on them. Again, there's a backup material that you can read if you choose, and a lot of people just stand there and read it, but the documents themselves are in the 3 center chambers. The Declaration of Independence on the left, the 4 pages of the Constitution in the middle, and the Bill of Rights on the right. Next slide. That's the Declaration of Independence. You can see that it's, for the most part, it's legible. Next slide. First page of the Constitution. It's fairly legible. Interestingly enough, the one that's the most difficult to read is the younger of the 3 documents, which is the Bill of Rights. Next. You can hardly read the Bill of Rights. Next slide. We want to take that experience. Foundation Forward is committed to take that experience across the country and back to our original business plan of building out North Carolina. Next slide, please. Interestingly, we had 2 founding fathers that were really big on education, as our education member will support. Franklin and Jefferson. Next slide. Benjamin Franklin is my favorite, and I have been known to dress as Benjamin Franklin. I've been trying to lose the weight, and my profile is changing, but I may have to get some padding to portray Benjamin. I have a wig and all that stuff. It's kind of fun to do because the school kids love to talk to Benjamin Franklin. But all the things that Ben was, and you can see a list of those. He did so many things, but in terms of our founding documents, he was the sage. What that means is if they got stumped and they didn't know an answer, they went to old Ben. See, many of our founding fathers were young men. They were in their 20s. And Benjamin was the older of them all, and he was very wise, very smart, and our country benefited greatly from Benjamin Franklin. The next founding father that was big on education was Thomas Jefferson, 3rd President of the United States. He was a farmer, inventor, small businessman. He actually manufactured nails. Most of the money that he made was, in addition to his plantation, was the manufacture of nails. Next slide. These 2 founding fathers basically designed the education system that we still have today. They thought that education should be in 3 levels, the primary level, the secondary level, and the 3rd level. And one thing that I like to bring to the attention of boards across the country, and particularly in North Carolina when I get to meet with you, is they taught the culture of virtue. Now, if you can see the culture of virtue in our Congress today, please share that with me because I haven't seen it in some time. But that's in the 3rd level of the Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson education system. Next slide, young lady. We're back to where I started from. Now, when Vance Patterson decided he was going to do this, you can't take a tape measure nor a camera into the National Archives building. So he stood in front. Vance is about my size. He's about 5'8", and he stood in front of the Declaration of Independence and marked it off. And Mary Jo was standing beside him, and she marked it on her clothes. So if you find that we're not precise in our construction, It's because our dimensions were based on 4 strides of a short guy and markings on his wife's side. But that's how we design these things. Next slide, please, young lady. That's the location of the first Charters of Freedom outside of Washington, D.C. That's the historic courthouse in Burke County, where I finished my career as a county manager in Burke. After we built 2 of these, Vance started scratching his head because we had spent a lot of money. And we created a foundation called Foundation Forward. It's an educational nonprofit. And we raise our funds. To this date, we've been in operation for 5 years, and we have not spent the first tax dollar. Now, I have finally convinced Vance that we should be able to accept in-kind services. And if the county has a backhoe, which you do, and can help us dig the foundation, that would be greatly appreciated, because everything that we cut off the cost, we can use somewhere else. I'm the treasurer of the corporation, so I know firsthand how much money's in the bank and what we're looking at with our construction costs. Next slide. The scope of the project was to design and build replicas of the Charters of Freedom as they're displayed in Washington, D.C. We'd like for them to be central located, open to the community, high visibility, foot traffic, and easy access for school children. Next slide. Again, that's how they look in the National Archives building. That is the beginning of the construction. We go down 3.5 feet. On our staff, we have a tanker. He's a sergeant major retired from the United States Army, and he was a tanker. And he says that we're overkill on our foundation, that he says he could run an Army tank into it and it wouldn't move. We don't want to test that. We don't want to try it. But we do go down 3.5 feet. And with reinforced concrete, we pour, is it 19 tons, Don? 19 yards of concrete. And you see the 3 stages of the first construction there. If you, Don is our construction manager, and he can answer any if there are construction people on the board that have questions, I'll step aside and Don's the expert, okay? Next slide. That is the center core, we call it core. The foundation goes down 3.5 feet, and then the core goes on top of that. Next slide. Then the trays go on for the documents. Next slide. That's what the side documents, that's what the side displays look like. Next. Then we put the document trays on the top, and they're secured. Next. And then the documents themselves weigh 60 pounds of etched bronze. And then we put a bulletproof glass on top of that. Now, we tell people not to test that, but we found this product in Canada. It's a product that is used in skyscrapers. And that's the newest glass that we have found. This is a sign of our emblem. We negotiated with some artists to render our ID, or our marker. The eagle represents the Declaration of Independence, strong, bold, defiant. The stars at the top represent the articles of the Constitution, and the stars at the bottom represent the Bill of Rights. Next. In the back of the center setting, there's a vault that we placed there that'll be open on September the 17th, 2087. Now, if any of you are here on that date, remember that we left the combination with Andy. And if they can't get the vault open on that day, it's Andy's fault. Okay? Next slide. It'll be opened on Constitution Day, which is the 300th anniversary of the Constitution, September the 17th, 2087. Next slide. There's a dedication plaque, there's information plaques that go on the back. And if we had a significant contributor, say the concrete company is willing to work with us, we would recognize that on the plaque. Because we can, Don, what's a regular price of the concrete?
Right now, it's running about $129 a yard.
So if you understand what I'm saying, I'm bartering with folks. If we can get discounts on that, or if we get it donated, we would certainly recognize that. Fair enough? Next slide. That's what it looks like when it's finished. Next slide. This is what we're proposing for your county. It would be brick. Now, let me explain the cost for a second. And I'm sure David did that because I was reading your page, but we can currently build a brick setting for somewhere between $23,000 and $25,000, depending on how much in-kind services we get. The Indiana limestone exterior cost us about $55,000, and the granite from Minnesota cost us around $65,000. We are prepared to gift to Stokes County a brick setting. Now, I think a white brick on your campus would be as pretty as any that we've ever built. And again, he's the construction guy, but that's my opinion because I have seen most of them. Next, that's the old Morganton courthouse, the old Burke County courthouse. Next, this was Yancey County. Next, okay, Mr. Chairman, do I have time for a quick story?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if I get too long, you just
I'll let
say,
you know.
old county manager, sit down. Okay. Historic Burke Courthouse. The county has leased the historic courthouse to the city of Morganton. City of Morgan had a mayor at that time that had been there for like 35 years. His name was Mel Cohen. You may have bumped into him across the state. He was very, very active. Anyway, Vance Patterson calls me up, says, Ron, I need you to set up a meeting with Mayor Cohen. I said, okay, you want me to set up a meeting with Mayor Cohen? See, county managers and mayors aren't always the best buds because there are times when we don't G-haw. Isn't that the word, Commissioner? G-haw? So I said, okay, I'll try. I called the city manager, and about 20 minutes later, my cell phone rings, and it's Mayor Cohen. Ron, we're going to have this meeting, and everything that's happened between us in the past is in the past. We're going to look to the future. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, we'll look to the future. So we had our meeting. See this old dead tree right here? Mel had planted that himself 30 years earlier. And that was his tree lighting tree that he had lights put on at Christmas, and he would have this big ceremony and flip the switch. And you've seen that scene before. Anyway, that was Mel's tree. And when Mel said to Vance Patterson, where do you propose to put this thing? Vance said, where that old tree is out there. and the mayor's staff went, because they knew the mayor was just getting ready to go off. He was really going to go crazy. But Mel was the first one to say, I guess that old tree's got to go. Next slide. You didn't even see those flagpoles, did you? Because they were hidden by that old dying tree. So anyway, that's what the first setting outside of Washington, D.C. looks like at the historic courthouse in Morganton. Next slide. The second one we built in Murphy. Next. The third one we built in Asheville, North Carolina. Next. This is the first outside of North Carolina. This is Jacksonville, Illinois. Next. On the day we dedicated Jacksonville, Illinois, there were 200 people in a downpour of rain. And they were so excited to be there, and we did our best to keep them dry, but it was a wet day. Next slide. This is a dedication in Burnsville. Next. This is a dedication in Morganton. Next. What we're all about is education, access, and community. Next slide. That's what we want to see. The teachers sitting at the setting with their children, teaching them about the founding fathers and teaching them about the founding documents that created this country that are still alive and well and used in courtrooms across the country in 2019. Next slide. There are 3,142 counties, boroughs, Louisiana, help me, parishes, and special districts across this. Our goal over the next 10 years is to put as many of those in place as we can. However, we're back to finishing North Carolina. That's why we want you. We're prepared to gift to you a setting at no cost. Now, I've asked Vance Patterson at least a dozen times as an old county manager, Jake, let me spend the county's money. And he always says, no, Ron, we don't spend any kind of tax dollars. That's, okay, I understand that. Next slide. This is another example of families coming to the setting and teaching their kids a little bit about our great country. And there's another one, and that should be it. Next. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I got a couple of things to say, and then I'm going to sit down, Mr. Manager, Mr. Chairman, and let you conduct the rest of your business. But number one, I've already told you that I was the treasurer. When we started going all over the country, our budget started making a dive. So we have done one thing new since David Streeter spoke to you last time. We would like the opportunity to put pavers in front of the setting. There's about 300 of them made. That helps us. It helps us with our costs. But you don't have to be concerned about that. We do that all ourselves. But that will help us defer. That will help us with our costs because. Quite frankly, as we've continued to grow, this gentleman right here has about 18 of them that he is charged with building this summer. So he's got another 20 to 25 that are out there somewhere to build in the future. So, in other words, we're a victim of our own success. That's a good thing. But we're in a situation now where we're having to look at funding sources. But again, it's all private money. There's no tax dollars except your in-kind services. Now, I know Mark Delahide. I worked with him in his previous county. He worked with me. I am calling him my champion. I would love for one of you gentlemen to step up with Mark and be his co-champion. But I always want to keep all 5 of you, all 6 of you in the loop of information. I don't want anybody to know more than the other guy knows. And we will do our very best. That's how managers survive. It is to make sure that every county commissioner knows everything that's going on with her. Now, I'm at the point where I can shut up and ask you if you have any questions of me. The reason I wanted to come here tonight is we have 3 new county commissioners. Even though you're not new yet, but you are working on your first budget, which is a real eye-opener. It's a really good education process for you to go through. But when I was quizzing Mark, he let me know that you had 3 new county commissioners, and I said, well, please ask if I can come back and speak with them. Because I want everybody on the same page as we go through this. And we'll have a wonderful time when we have a dedication. We bring, it's just a fun day, and I promise each of you that we'll have a really good time that day when we dedicate your city. Now, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I'll start right here with Commissioner Mendenhall.
Well, thank you for coming out, and I just want to say that I was on the board last year. It's my third year. I was part of the group that got to hear David's presentation, and I was and I still am 150% behind this project.
Thank you.
If you go back and read the minutes
I've read
from
the
last year, you'll get to see the comments that I made. And I was chairman last year, and I really am an advocate of this project,
I
so,
also have read our letter of intent, which you signed.
yes, yes.
I have that in file.
So I just want to say again, I think it's a great thing, and I support it sincerely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Youngs.
Thank you again for, as Commissioner Mendenhall said, for the presentation. Very interested in this. I like your model. Your funding sources, as you said, you're having to kind of look at alternate ways of funding, and I think, so I'm assuming the papers will be in memoir of or in dedication to, or, okay. So,
And we don't commingle money,
yeah,
which means it all goes into you can tell anyone that you might be interested in telling that we don't commingle the funds.
yes, again, thanks for the presentation, and very much interested in it, and I think it's a great thing for the county moving forward. I think it'll be a tool well utilized by our students and our teaching staff as well, so,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker.
Thanks, sir. Rod, appreciate you, and is David with you? The other gentleman?
Don Ramsey.
Don, I'm sorry.
Stand up there. I'm a big Carolina guy. Don's a state guy, and we drove up here in the same car. Don played football for a fella at NC State called Lou Holt. Does anybody know Lou?
Heard of him once or
Okay,
twice.
yeah. But we thank you so much for having us here tonight. And we look forward to dedicating your charters of freedom and having a really good time that day.
I have a question, please, Ron or Don. You mentioned Minnesota granite. That's a long ways from here. What about Mount Airy?
Well, if I might be so bold, Jimmy, I'm sorry.
Absolutely, most people do.
Gentlemen, forgive me, but I was in county government a long time, and Commissioner Walker is the only one of you that I remember. Which means he's been around a long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Again, forgive me, Commissioner, for slipping there and calling you your first name.
Not a problem.
When we first went into operation, we visited Georgia, which has a lot of granite, and we looked at, even in North Carolina as well. Everybody thought we were a fly-by-night, Johnny-come-lately, you won't last, you won't make it. And the local folks weren't interested in talking to us or working with us. So we went to a place called Cold Springs, Minnesota, and they have been absolutely incredible to work with. But you're absolutely right, that's a long way to go to get granite shipped in. So if any of you would have connections with some of the granite suppliers around here, I would love to pursue that. And, but I think now that we're building our credibility, it might be time for us to go back and revisit that with them. But that's exactly why we went to Cold Springs, is because nobody would work with us.
One of the Cold Springs has a cruise and septic.
Yeah,
That's something that we don't have.
They're the premier granite provider in the country. As Don said, they come out and it's a turnkey job. They do it all. But we're willing to visit with with the local people and talk about what we do.
I was just wondering, I know we're going kind of deep into our meeting time-wise, but I was just wondering if maybe Mount Airy, which is near here, would be interested in doing one just kind of to see what it's all about and see what kind of fit it might be for them.
That's a good question. And, I'll tell you what I'll do, Commissioner, I will look that up and I'll call them and ask them. Again, if anyone here has some inroads into that connection. Life is about connections,
Sure is.
okay? It's not what you know, it's who you know in most everything.
Mhm.
So I would be glad to pursue that if given the opportunity to.
And maybe something like a call from our county manager to the county manager in Surrey County,
Right.
just to kind of explore things from that direction.
Thank you very much for thinking out of the box, Commissioner.
Tell them what we're interested in doing, say, what possibilities are there here? I'll stop there, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank these folks again for being here. Totally on board with you, have been from the beginning, and will continue to be.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Commissioner Morris?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Really great presentation. I found it very interesting. I would say with these documents being under assault like they are in a lot of circles these days, I can't think of a better idea than putting these things up and reinforcing the education about how the country got started. And I'm totally supportive of doing this. It's a great idea. And what's a projected time frame for doing Stokes County? Have you guys got that figured
I'm gonna
out?
Shoot real straight with you.
Mhm.
Now, I asked Mark earlier today, which congressional district are you in? Because Vance has made some exceptions, because we're wanting this year to have one in every North Carolina congressional district. But the bad thing is that we've already built one in your congressional district. Realistically, not holding anything back, we're probably talking about next spring. But in the meantime, what I'd like to do is bring our community support people in to talk to the Rotary, every county has a Rotary Club, to talk to the veterans groups. Our biggest supporters across the country, and particularly in North Carolina, are the veterans groups. Where we'll come in and I'd like for David Streeter to come up and spend some time with the superintendent and to, but we still got a lot that we can be doing, is what I'm saying. Even though construction might not be until next spring, but we can still put some boots on the ground and get some things going.
Is there a standard place you put them in front of courthouses or other, or is it vary from one place to the other?
We have learned the hard way that the front door of the courthouse is not necessarily, if it's an active courthouse, the front door of the courthouse is not necessarily the best place, because that's where people are going to court. And we've tried to steer away from jails. And I walked your campus today, and if I could.
Mr. Lewis, she has a copy of that map that we reviewed, if you'd like to.
We got a
I'll
copy
pass
of
it
it.
out. Yep.
You have a perfect outdoor theater right there. It wouldn't take a lot of money because you got a natural location. And if I got to choose on where to put it, I really don't. But if I could choose, that's where I'd put it. Right there.
Right here beside the building?
Yes. But we'll talk more about that.
Okay.
But I've planted my seed, and just think about what I've said. I think it'd be a great place for veterans, and a great place for the Charters of Freedom. Again, I'm not trying to tell you what to do.
Okay.
But I walked your campus. If I could choose the spot, That's what I'd say.
All right.
Okay, any other questions, Mr. Chairman?
That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
No, sir,
I've taken way too much of my time.
it's fun. This area has been very interesting. I'm real excited about it myself. So, Mark, if you need any help with this, I know you said you might need a co-captain right there. I'll be more than glad to help you out through this project. And exactly how much would you need to build something like this? Total cost?
Well, the brick is between $23,000 and $25,000.
Okay.
The Indiana limestone is about $55,000. And the granite is $65,000. We're willing to put up to $25,000. If you wanted to go with, I think white brick with this building would be beautiful. I think the brick would be fun, it would look just as good. But if for some reason you want to do one of those other fascia, then we'll work with you. But let's not shortchange the brick, because it's beautiful. It's really very nice. Anything else?
Nope.
If there is, you know, I've given out all my business cards, but Mark knows how to get in touch with me. I'm gonna close by saying that, on June the 4th, I'll be 70 years old. I'm having more fun now at 70, working with the Charters of Freedom than I had all those other years. But I've managed hundreds of millions of dollars, and I've managed thousands of people. But until you're the caregiver of your own mother, you haven't lived. And in the last month, I've been mom's caregiver, and that is it's incredible. Good night, folks. I could talk for an hour, but
Mr.
I
Little.
almost have.
We appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to item B, the Life Bright Hospital Foundation. I believe we have Mr. Dallenhot for that.
We just can't seem to get off foundations, can we?
That's fine.
Anyways, I'm here to present to you a issue we've had at the Life Bright Hospital, where the foundation, due to what I believe to be a storm drain, has had to come apart. Has eroded away the soil underneath, and over the years, I mean, it has caused the foundation to crack, as you'll see in the pictures, and I also have an aerial photograph showing the area of the hospital. If you know where that is, that's around back in a little courtyard area. If you actually stand in that building, if you ever been up the mountain to the place called Mystery Hill, where the floor is sloped, well, it's kind of like that here. But again, this is not this bid is not to jack it up, because based on the conversation with the engineer, that would potentially do more harm than good. This is merely to support it and to have it from doing any further damage. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
You said you keep it from doing any further damage, so they think doing the work right here would completely hold it for a long time? Or?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll tell the other asking questions, start with Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only question I have, Mark, are there any big costs associated with these exclusions that are in the contract that came from Granco, the masonry repair, interior uplift repairs, and latent conditions? I'm
Not that.
They exclude them, so I'm not sure what they are exactly or how much they would cost.
Again, as I read that and understand it, it's saying we're just gonna support the foundation. We're not, when it talks about masonry repairs, you see the cracks on the exterior of the wall, none of that would be included. It's all, underneath the foundation, and to support the foundation is what they're proposing to do.
Okay, but those are all things we would have to do, or they kind of maybe not have to do
They're
all
not
of them?
included in this, and
Okay.
if we wanted to do them, they're pretty much cosmetic, except for what's inside. I would wanna try to do something, but on the exterior, I don't know that we necessarily would have to do anything. The urgent matter is to support it from getting any further damage.
Okay, good. That's the only question I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris. Commissioner Walker.
Yes, sir. Mark, appreciate you, and looks like Glenda pulling together this information on the county's behalf, and looks like don't have anything really to compare it to, but the bid sounds fairly reasonable for the scope of work that would be involved. My question is, we can do a Band-Aid fix, which would be the minimum. We can do a really comprehensive fix, which would take it to the other end of the scale. Where between those two extremes does what we're looking at here fit, as far as dealing with what we're needing to be dealing with at this time?
I would certainly wanna move on this to keep it from getting any worse as far as, I haven't asked the engineer to look at, any, jacking up, doing the foundation. Like I said, I don't know what that would entail and what additional damage it may even cause. That's something we haven't requested the engineer to really look at,
Right.
because we knew it'd be very, very serious.
That would be, as far as the question I asked, that would be on the comprehensive end where you're really covering a lot of bases and what we'd be doing. This is, what would you label it as a reasonable fix? Something that should do what we need it to do for now as well as a good time into the future?
Yes, I wouldn't even call it a fix so much as just, because it's not really a fix, it's to keep it from getting any worse from the state it's in now.
That's correct.
Okay,
Certainly needed.
very good. Thank you for bringing this before us.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Commissioner Yance?
Yeah, thanks for bringing this before us, Mark. The only thing that I had a question on, I mean, the price seems to be very competitive. I saw in the letter that they believe it is from a damaged roof drain. So
Yeah,
once
that's
we,
my determination.
okay, so once we get in and dig away at the foundation, hopefully we will be able to correct that. Is that my understanding of?
That's my anticipation, and that anticipation would be no more than severing the part that has had a break, so to speak, and filling that joint with something solid, which would be of minimal expense, if it's how I would envision it to end up being.
Okay. But if we get in and, to Commissioner Walker's point, if we get in and see that we need to extend a drain out and tie in somewhere else, then certainly you would bring that back to us.
I would immediately.
Okay, all right. That would be my concern. I would want to ensure that we correct it and, you know, any water or anything that's draining or coming from that is going to continue to undercut, so.
Yeah, I don't want to do this again, trust me.
Right. So I would just encourage you to make sure that with the roof drain, and I'm sure you're well aware, but we need to make sure that we resolve it and move forward. I think we need to do it correctly, so that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Yance. Commissioner Mendenhall?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really don't have any comments. The bid certainly looks very reasonable to me, and Mark, as Commissioner Yance said, if you find anything else that needs to come back to us, we're hoping you don't, but if you do, just make sure.
Sorry about that interruption.
Thank you.
Turn it off.
I'm good.
Thank you, Commissioner Mendenhall. Mr. Delhart, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Go ahead and move it on to item C, the request for abandonment.
Are we doing?
Oh, yeah, we're doing, move it to action. Everybody okay with that?
For the next meeting.
Next meeting.
Okay.
Sorry, jumping ahead. Thank you, Mr. Mendenhall. All right, go ahead, item C, request for abandonment of section of SR 1983, and turn it over to our county manager, Jake Oakley.
Mr. Chairman, Scott and Rhonda Craig, which is the individuals that are making this request, live at the end of Pink Smith Road. There's approximately 80 feet, if you could, you can look at your map, it shows that it extends into their property. And what started this is that they had recently paved their driveway, and by doing so, people are thinking that's part of the state road. So they are now circling their house as part, as they go down to down that Pink Smith Road, and they're kind of wanting to stop that. So if you look at the map, you can see where the property, how this road extends into it. I'm trying to get this pulled up, and and I'm like Mr. Walker, I'm a little slow on technology. But anyway, I've got it pulled up, great. And it shows 80 foot that extends from their property line right at the edge of where the actual turnaround is at. Now, take in consideration tax maps vary 40 or 30 or 40 feet, and because they're not survey grade. But anyway, they are requesting that the board abandon right of way. They are already working with the state. The state is aware of it. The state will most likely abandon the maintenance on this. They're the only ones that will be affected by it. You also see a letter in there from the GIS department stating that is true, that they're the only ones on it. They said at a dead end road. And I'm requesting approval for the Craigs to have the abandonment of this section that's highlighted in red on the GIS map here in your agenda to be done away with, so they could put a gate across at the end of this turnaround here where the school buses and people turn around, or should be turning around.
Okay. All right, start with comments, questions. Start here with Commissioner Mendenhall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really don't have any questions. I know where this is located exactly, and I certainly understand the concern of the citizens, and
I would support their request.
that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Mendenhall. Commissioner Yance.
Yeah, I have no major issue with it. There's no emergency utility hookups or anything in that last 88 feet or so, so
No.
I have no issues with it, so.
Commissioner Walker.
Thank you, sir. I see no risk or downside to this as well. The question that I would have, and I think it's almost a question that answers itself, is by the time it gets to us, I'm sure that our staff has researched any potential negatives, school bus turnaround, anybody that might be inconvenienced in any way, and apparently nothing has surfaced. This is pretty straightforward, pretty clear cut.
Scott has told me that he has been in touch with Brad Langford at the school bus garage concerning bus turnaround there, because Scott has talked right much about how the grounds are being damaged out there, and he would love for either the state to extend some of the turnaround or push it toward north from his property line. But the state is looking into that, and the state will come in and fix whatever needs to be fixed for the turnarounds of the school bus. Brad is also looking into it, and that's something that will be taken care of, which will be on the outside of Scott's property, where it should be at all along. Because, like I said, once you see these maps right here, if you actually looked at the survey maps, you would see that turnaround wasn't even on the Craig's property to begin with. It's just an overlay of how aerial photography and plotting of deeds, or just a little bit of the inaccuracy there, that would show that it looks like it's on some of his, but it's not.
And it shows just a small portion that appears to be on the
It's not.
property in question, but you're saying it's outside of it, so.
It's outside of it. If you went out there and looked at where his property and his fence line comes across, it's out. The turnaround is outside of his property.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Walsh. Commissioner Morris.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. It seems like a very reasonable request to me. And so if we approve it at the next meeting, which I guess we move it to action for next time, there won't be any issues with the school bus turning around?
No, it won't be any issues. That'll be something that the state, if there's some enhancement needs to be done to that turnaround, the state is well aware of it, and they will do that.
Okay.
Also, the school bus garage is aware of it, so it sounds like it may be a little work needs to be done, because the bus is actually getting off of the area and causing mud holes and other sinking things, so where the tires sink up. But that's something that the state's going to fix, no matter what this board does on the maintenance or the right-of-way of what's on his property.
Okay, good. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris. Yeah, I can see the concerns and stuff on his. Everybody good with moving this action next time?
Yep.
Moving on to the 2019-2020 health and dental insurance rates. And also turn that over to County Manager Jay Coakley.
Okay, this is our health insurance that's being renewed. It's the same carrier that's covering us currently. Last year was just, as you can see, and it was 11.3% increase in cost. This year it's only a 3.75. Julia and Shannon and all those girls just really jumped on that and started bringing in other vendors and getting some competitive business going on here. And I honestly do believe that this reduction is results from it. So good work to those folks, and I'm asking the board to move forward with approving this insurance, right, Julia? Health and dental, and that way that finance department can go ahead and move forward with setting everybody up that needs to be taken care of between now and July 1.
Gail, that's.
And Gail, let's don't leave Gail there.
You forgot Gail was here, she's.
Okay, Gail, you need to be sitting up here somewhere. But anyway, thank you, Gail. She's up, she does a whole lot with our insurance. She really does, so. But anyway, thank you very much. Gail was instrumental in calling these other companies and making sure that there was, got better insurance rates because of it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank each and every one of you gals out there for working on that. I know it helps us to get the competitive rates in here and make it best on the rates there, but I'll start with Commissioner Walker this time.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm pleased to hear there's only a 3.75% increase. I was afraid between the county manager and me that we had run our insurance cost up. Been kind of a tough year.
Well, it has. We didn't help it any.
But anyway, we're encouraged now. We go through this every year, and it's an interesting process, and Julia and Gail's involved, I'm sure. Our county manager is too, and I like to think by the time it gets this far along, it gets to us, that there's been thorough research into whatever possibilities there might be out there. And I believe we're being a little creative in our approach toward insurance. Aren't we partly self-funding?
We are self-funded.
And we're trying to do the best we can, be open-minded and try to do what seems like it'll work best for us, keep the cost down as much as possible. And I like to think when we get such a small, not that almost 4% is all that small, but last year was a lot more. I like to think that something's working well for us, that it could have been much more than that. So I'm kind of thankful, really, that we have the numbers before us we have, and at the same time, the question that kind of comes along for me every year is, have we done all we could do to see that we're continuing to provide the kind of coverage we need for our employees, and at the same time, keeping the cost down as much as possible. So I'm seeing some heads nodding, Julia's,
Yeah, we've done that.
Gail's,
Yeah.
Shannon's.
We've done that.
Right.
Mr. Walker.
I just wanted to hear you say it. I don't like to make assumptions, so now that you've validated that, I'm good.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. I believe the reason for that 3.75%, did they say something about a deer and a scooter was the reason for the increase?
Yeah, that was it.
Also, Commissioner Morris.
Yeah, just one question, the benefits, deductibles, everything all stayed the same?
All the same.
Okay, that's the only question I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Yachts.
Yeah, this is great news. I mean, 3.75 and be able to provide this for our county employees is crucial, I feel like, to be competitive, but not only that, to show appreciation, and it's encouraging that to increase it in almost 12%. Great job to everyone involved, so thanks. That's all I have.
Commissioner Mendenhall.
I concur with what all the other commissioners have said as far as this goes. I think I just want to say thanks to all of you for your hard work. And after a root canal today, I see the dental increase is only 96 cents. So I was looking at that more than I was in health insurance. Of course, when you have a root canal done, you only focus on one thing. So I got to be quiet because I can't hardly talk anymore. I'm putting it on you.
That's fine.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Commissioner Mendenhall. All right, let's see, do we need to do anything with this one? Just approve it?
No, I'm requesting this to be placed, is the action agenda good enough, Julia, in time frame for you to take care of this?
Got to set up meetings for employees to come in and open enrollment.
Right. Right, so would you prefer this to be placed on the action agenda tonight? To make sure that you have adequate timing? Then I would make that request to the board that this would be placed on the action agenda for tonight, if it's any way possible.
Is everybody okay with that?
I am.
Got one not head, two not heads? Y'all okay with that?
Borderline, yes.
Talked him off the ledge, he's good.
All right. Move on to item E, the NCDOT supplement agreement. And I believe we had Mr. Hart for that also. And he is gone.
But I'll be more than happy to take care of it for you, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Manager, go ahead.
What this is right here is the, state of North Carolina that has placed the cost proposal on some sites that, we have requested paving to be done. And the reason why we're picking up these new sites is because you set aside $500,000 for paving certain areas of the government complex. In dealing with the state of North Carolina, it allows us to be able to get these things paved at a cheaper price at their cost, and it has allowed us to move forward in paving other areas that is very much needed. And in this right here, you're looking at $97,000 here that would be spent on paving 3 other areas, and the total.
That was what was approved in
That's
December.
what was approved in December. December, $241,000 was approved to continue paving. Out of this, $397,000 will be for 3 areas, and that would be an estimate cost of the park area at Mortauk, and you're also looking at the old Danbury School building area, and then you would be looking at the Arts Council going in behind the Arts Council on that loop road that comes in behind that is very much needed. And I would like to tell the board that right now we're scheduled for June the 17th for paving to start up here. So anyway, I'm requesting that the board to allow us to move forward with this additional paving.
When you say right there behind the arts, is that also the new parking lot?
That's not the new
Not the
parking
new
lot
parking
now.
lot,
The new
okay.
parking lot will require some time of parking and running over it to make sure that the settlement is done for about a year, and then you can come in and pave if you like.
Okay,
But right now, if you paved it, it would just crack up, fall apart.
okay. All right. I'll start with Commissioner Young at this time.
No, this is great news. I think anywhere that we can put pavement down in the Danbury area is a great thing. With the parking situations that we have there, it only gives us flexibility in the future. I understand we're not doing a huge parking lot in this, but still, it'll make the travel much easier for people in that area and around the arts building with the growing visitors there. I think it's a great thing. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Morris?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So we had 241,860 approved, and then this 97 adds these additional areas. Is that what you said, right?
Yes, sir, Commissioner Moore.
Okay, so what's the story with the 166,884 that's left over then? Are we gonna be talking about that during the budget, or is that just on hold, or?
It's just, that's just
That's
left
what's
over
left.
as of right now. By us going through the state, we are getting better and better deals because the state's giving it to us at no cost other than just the grinding of the old asphalt and the purchase of the new.
Okay. Yeah, I've dealt with them before. What's the 160, where's it sitting and what?
I think it's the difference.
It's a-
500,000 that was budgeted last year, put in capital reserve.
The 160 still in capital reserve for that, for future
I
paving?
have to check on that. I'm thinking I moved the whole 5 when we did it, but
Okay, I'm just curious when we're gonna look at doing something with the 160, or are we going to, do we have more paving that needs to be done with the 160, or? Does this take care of everything,
The
or?
241's already paid. That's been paid to the North and,
Right.
and the 97
Okay,
approved would be, so the 160 would stay in the fund either for more paving, or if it doesn't need to be used, could be reallocated to somewhere
okay,
else.
so we need to talk about during the upcoming budget process then, the 160, that'd be good, okay.
You would also have the area that's beside the old government center that you have already approved for that to put new parking areas in. That is scheduled to be paved, so that will be some cost there that will come up for the 160,000, but
I'm all for paving all of these places that are falling apart, so I'm just questioning when we're gonna deal with the other 160 and what else we could pay, but we can do that during the budget, so.
that's correct.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris. Commissioner Mendenhall.
I just think this is great news that we, $160,000, $160,684 left over for projects that we can determine during the budget cycle. I think that's great news. Anytime you come up with that much left over, I think that's good. So that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mendenhall. Commissioner Walker.
I thought you'd forgotten me.
No,
All right,
I couldn't forget you.
okay, thank you. I like what our manager said about the more he talks with DOT, the better deals he gets. So, have we talked enough, or do we need to keep talking some more?
I think you've got it down to where they're just, that's about it.
Okay,
They're doing it basically at their cost.
I'll trust your judgment on that.
But Mark Delahunt had a lot to do with this, so
Oh, good.
I'd like to give him the pat on the back for it.
Well, the timing seems to be especially good in one way for this area, and that is our jail construction is pretty much over.
Yes.
And all that equipment that's been maybe causing some problems, necessarily part of the construction process, that's behind us now, so it's probably a good time to go ahead and do some of this paving that's we've needed to have done for, Commissioner Mendenhall, how many years would you guess the paving is needed to be done, and we've,
Say probably 10 years.
yeah, and we've kept putting it off, and it's the kind of thing that I'm not seeing an advantage to continue to put it off. It needs to be done, so let's go ahead and do it and get this off the list and move to the next items. I don't mean just agenda, I mean hypothetically speaking. Anyway, I'm on board, and I'm very thankful that we're able to, it appears, I don't know whether save is the right word or what, but we appear to have been able to come out with almost $161,000 that we didn't have to spend on this, that we thought we might have to spend. So that's something to be thankful for. I'll stop there, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for not forgetting me.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Mr. Manager, just a quick question. Are these areas milling and paving, or are these overlay?
It's milling and paving.
Milling and paving, so the 100, does all this right here include everything, milling, striping, everything?
Includes everything, yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Which is better.
Yeah, oh yeah. And you still got 160 left over.
Still have 160 left over, and a lot of that has to do with that the jail contract out here done some paving. in
Okay.
it. So I want the board to keep that in mind when the sheriff comes back to you and says there should have been extra money left over in this contract for something. So anyway, I just want you to keep that in mind, that the jail did do some of this paving that was out in front of the area that they were, had a lot of stuff stored on, and that they probably damaged some of it, so they went ahead and done about 130-some thousand, the best I can remember on it. So you're looking at some of the cost savings that's there, and that's the reason why we're able to extend on a little further with your paving.
Good. Is everybody good with putting this on the action next agenda?
I have a question I just thought of, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Now, for our county manager, please. This covers some of our paving needs. How much is still out there that needs to be considered at some point that we're not addressing with what we're looking at this particular time?
you probably would need to look at the new sites that you're, starting in, parking in around Danbury, and then you got some off sites in other areas such as in King and Walnut Cove that possibly needs to be looked into to see if paving needs to be done there. So we can continue on in these areas. I don't know if J.R. Jones needs it. I don't know if the health clinic area up there needs any pavement. I don't know if the center down here off of Neal Road in Walnut Cove that Opportunity Center is at. I don't know if it needs any paving there, but there are other areas that need to be looked at, and you do have some funds now that you can do that with.
What about our green box sites?
Green box sites are in the budget for you to look at. And this is some of the capital projects in one of the areas that you would look into, two areas, which is Pinnacle and Walnut Cove, that have a high volume of traffic. And there is money there that I'm requesting the board to look into paving and reconstructing this to where it would take the traffic flow and the citizens could use it at ease, and also create a little more safer environment for our taxpayers or the people that actually uses these two sites.
I guess one thing I was thinking about, Mr. Manager, was the DOT seems to have a cooperative approach toward working with us at this time, and I was wondering if we could blend some of these other needs in with, and if it would be a good time to continue talking with them and see how far we could go, maybe with $160,000.
We will.
Thank you, sir.
Continue on.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Commissioner Walker. Okay, moving on to item F, Tax Office Monthly Report. We have Mr. Richard Breen for that.
We are placing that on the action
Yeah,
agenda
we
for
are.
this meeting. Gotcha. Got fresh batteries, Richard.
Good evening. I'll be brief. Just got some of the same stuff we normally have. The first item, as always, is our monthly tax collection status report. Happy to report we've collected all but $260,000 of the budgeted $21.3 million. So we're right now at about 98.8%. So we've got 2 months left in the fiscal year. It looks like that, based on looking at past history, that we should be able to obtain that and make budget. So that is good news. The next item I have is real and personal refunds less than $100. We have 2 accounts with 9 bills for a total of $270.56. The next item is real and personal releases less than $100. We have 1 account for a total of $49.24. And then our next category is real and personal refunds more than $100. We have 1 account totaling $221.52. The next item I have is information on the discount for early payment on our annual tax bills. It's coming out at the end of July. This is information just making the board aware that they don't have to do anything, take any action to keep the 2% discount in place. And if you turn to our next page, I've got 6 years worth of history pertaining to the 2% discount, and giving you some information on how much the taxpayers have took advantage of that. They appreciate that savings that the board gives them for the early payment. It also gives the county about 53% of their budget within the first 30 days of sending out the tax bills. All the escrow companies take advantage of that. And then the final item I have 4 late use value applications. 3 are applying for agricultural deferment and 1 for forestry deferment. That's all I have, unless the board has any questions.
Sorry, Commissioner Mendenhall.
Don't have any questions. I think it's just very, I think you're doing a very good job, Richard. And, I appreciate all the hard work your department's doing.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, thanks for presenting this to us tonight. To be honest with you, you must have read my mind. I was going through this and I said, well, I wonder how many people's taking advantage of this 2% discount. And the next slideshow is how many people's taking care of the 2% discount. So it's good to see that that's actually working for people. And as you said, I'm sure the escrow companies take advantage of it. So some of the citizens, getting that out, I think it's great to have that 53%, as you stated, within the first 30 days. So I have no further questions.
Mr. Walker?
Thank you. Richard, I like how this appears to be working year after year. We're seeing good results from it. Are we what we're doing pretty typical with, compared to what most counties are doing, or are we sort of been a little bit more kind and gentle with our citizens and offering this to them?
Yes.
Or do you have any knowledge of, you or our manager who has some tax office experience, do you have any knowledge of how we compare with other counties in doing the 2% I'm speaking of particularly?
Yeah, Jake and I have looked at other counties, and some counties do it and other counties don't. Some of your larger counties, they don't do it because they've got the revenue there coming in, and a lot of your smaller counties do, and 2% is kind of a good average. Some's a little less and some's a little more, but I think 2% kind of falls right in there in the median.
And you have some counties will offer 1% this month and 1% the next month.
Oh, okay, progressive.
Progressive, yes.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Morris?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Richard, thanks for your report. I like the 2% discount like we have it. I'll probably stay supportive of that. Other than that, I don't have any other questions, I think.
Richard, I don't have anything for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. He's asking for the item for the real estate personal funds, 100, and present value lay application be placed on the agenda on May 28th. Everybody good with that?
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda. Move on to item G, the animal shelter veterinarian contract. I have Mr. Oakland.
This right here is where we've been contracting with Dr. Cowing from Walnut Cove, and she's been serving as our county veterinarian for some time now, and I can remember a year back she come in telling us that she did not want to no longer do this. She's ready to retire from it. She is currently under contract with the county. She did sign a contract with the county, but she's wanting out of it. The animal shelter staff is and Mr. Marshall, our sheriff, has been speaking with Dr. Preston Roberts from Rural Hall with the Animal Care Clinic to provide this service for the county. He is currently already doing some routine business for the county and taking care of the spade and neutering for the animals. And he's willing to sign this contract and start providing this service for Stokes County. This will allow Mrs. Cowan to move forward with her retirement, and we would have a veterinarian on staff to provide the needs that the county needs for our animal shelter. Also, I'd love to say that I do appreciate everything that Dr. Cowan has done for Stokes County, and whatever she does, I wish her well, and I do appreciate her dedication to the animals of our county.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Morris?
Is this the same price we've been paying Dr. Cowan?
Yes, we've been paying $250 a month contract, and then whatever fee he charges.
And the other thing. Okay, good. That's the only question I have. This looks fine with me.
Thank you. Commissioner Walker?
Thanks, sir. I think I read as I was reviewing the information we have with our agenda, I think I read where our sheriff has been involved with this process and he gives his concurrence.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to be sure my memory is working as well as I would hope it would be.
She wanted to quit a year ago, and they talked her into carrying it another year. So doing that year of last year, they were looking for a new veterinarian, and they was able to get the, Dr. Roberts from Real Hall to sign on.
Until, several months ago, I had a couple of labs I really enjoyed having, but they, both died of old age within a short time of each other. And up until then, I used the services of the, animal care clinic of Rural Hall and found those folks to be very, competent and very, customer oriented, I guess I might say. They always made me feel comfortable when I used their services and seemed like they cared a lot about what they were doing. So you certainly have my concurrence to proceed with this.
Thank you. Commissioner Yachts?
I have no further questions. The rate is the same, and it sounds like we've had good service with Dr. Roberts, so I have no opposition to it.
Thank you, Commissioner Yachts. Commissioner Mendenhall?
I just want to publicly go on record of thanking Dr. Cowan for all the work she did over the years for us. And I've heard nothing but positive comments also about the new person, Dr. Roberts. I've talked to several people also, so I'm certainly good with this. Just want to make sure Dr. Cowan knows that her work was appreciated over the years. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I see no problem with this at all. Be okay putting this on the action agenda next month or next time? Good. Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay. All right, move on to our last item on the consent agenda, the budget meeting schedule. I believe we have Ms. Shannon Shaver for that.
Yeah, so after, we had a meeting a while back and we had some dates and some of those worked and some didn't. So I took some of that feedback and tried to come up with some other dates. So the schedule that I had come up with, and this does not conflict with other meetings around the county, Board of Education, things like that. Evening meetings, I made sure about high school graduation, things like that, that they don't conflict with those. So I came up with the Monday, May 20th at 1. The DSS Board of Health meetings are canceled that day just for lack of need and in the process of scheduling the public hearing for those as well to dissolve those boards. So that date I thought could be used since it's already on your calendar probably, since the May 20th already be kind of set in at 1 o'clock. Then Tuesday, May 21st at 6 was an available day. And then Tuesday, June the 4th at 3 is my suggestion. You can change any of those times you want. That day there is a planning meeting at 7. I have spoken with David Sutterth in planning, and he states there will be a planning meeting at 7 that day. So my thinking was it'd be a short meeting, he said, 10-15 minutes. So if we met prior to that, maybe starting at 3 and had a long meeting throughout, maybe we could wrap things up that day or recess to a different day if needed. I also spoke with Dr. Rice and Ms. Boljak at the Board of Education, and they have approved that Thursday, May 30th date at 6 p.m. for the joint meeting with the Board of Education. The public hearing date, as we stated, is Friday, May 31st at 7 instead of June 31st that we previously stated. So, but other than that, and suggestions, or if there's any other dates, because I need to get this posted, I need to put it in the paper this week actually, so we can get those dates advertised to the public and put it on the website. I am going to advertise that all the meetings will be held in here so that we can use our live streaming devices, and we also have a brand new, like, table mic kind of system that we can put in the center that will carry for if we have a large round table kind of meeting like the Board of Education or yourselves during the budget meetings. So I will, that's different than before. We usually do it on the 3rd floor, so that'll be a little bit different. So I want to advertise that out there too for the public. So if this works for everybody, I will certainly get it out there for the public, and if not, just let me know something needs to be changed.
There is a, and I don't know if the board wants to change the middle one, Tuesday, May 21st, but I do have on my calendar at our Pine Hall community building at the Soil and Water are doing, it has their presence.
I saw that after this was one of the dates I had way before that, and everybody was okay with that date at that meeting, so I left it on there for that reason, because everybody could do that date. But
I'll go along with everybody if they want to keep it that day. I just want to make sure everybody's aware that that is
yes,
that evening at 6 o'clock at Pine Hall. I'll do what the rest, I'll work with the rest of the board on that. If they wanna keep it that time, that's fine. I just wanna make sure everybody knew that was going on that night.
Everybody else good with these dates?
Okay with proposed dates.
Jimmy, Commissioner Walker?
I enjoy the soil and water event, but now that we found some dates that appear to be working for everyone, it's pretty far down the path to change, so I wanted to go with the dates we have scheduled.
Commissioner Morris?
All these dates work for me.
All work for me as well.
If I just take general consensus, I can move on with these and get them posted.
Yeah.
Good.
And is everybody also good with Thursday, May 30th at 6th? Anybody have any conflict with that?
Thursday, May the 30th. Good day. In between two of my children's birthday.
Oh.
Got one that's born on the 29th and one on the 31st, so 30th will slide right in there for me.
Okay. I believe we're all good with them days.
Okay. All right.
All right. Would the board care for a break right before we go into action agenda?
Please.
All right.
I need to see Diana, if she'll help me out with something. I got a question.
We're gonna do a break.
You're gonna recess.
All right, we're gonna recess just for a few minutes and continue back in about 10 minutes.
Diana?
I was about to say we was adjourned, I can't say that, can I?
When we're in the meeting, when we're in a meeting like we are.
Yes, we'll go back there.
And
Yeah, too.
Be helpful. Gosh, amazing.
we move something to action.
You kind of,
Can I, how can
right?
The recording mic will stay on, but I've muted all those mics, so that's Diana's request that we do it that way. Instead of cutting a bunch of video like in sections, where it would section out and have to do all these little rebuilds.
What I've
So
done
just mute it.
right
I have a
now
little
works
screen
is,
every now and then I can mute. I just want to
keep
make
track
sure.
of things
Start
like that.
talking too much, I'll just mute you out. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that.
I can have to mute them all, I can't just mute one.
Slick little way just to add something that
Might
we've
need to put a
approved.
time limit on some of
But,
them. See, you didn't hear me.
I'm hearing it's probably
Yeah,
not.
she is the one that will move those, and it pulls all of your notes, if you've made notes in here, it will pull all them over
Haley's home
to
from
the
college.
action agenda.
She goes next Tuesday to Raleigh to start.
I'm sort of making friends with this
Hey,
thing.
I can tell. Y'all are, and I am proud of you.
Yeah,
I am proud of you.
I think it's gonna work.
Y'all are
Yeah,
doing good. We'll
Mackenzie's
check on
just
that
trying
keyboard for you
She's still
too.
trying to.
Yeah, I could move this and just put it right there and have it, you know, I
Yeah.
can see it a little better.
There you go.
I can use this one. If
Yeah.
you're not able to find one, it's not a disaster, but it would be nice to sort of slip this right here
I
and,
think y'all will be here on Monday, right, for budget meeting? Is that what y'all just approved? Okay, then we'll see if we can't, what we can't get done by then.
Waste of money.
All right?
also, this is a big,
Andy looked it up on the Google and it says
it's a
that
safety risk.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh, it's right when you hear this.
tooth that goes
We
bad.
get our budget on here.
Where's the root canal to fix it? Then you've had heart problems before.
Good question.
I think it would be wonderful to
We
have
certainly,
your budget.
we
I
certainly,
don't wanna bring that 4-pound book.
Flew over the Pacific Ocean about an hour away.
What is it?
Oh, you're going.
Yeah, we were going.
How's Ty doing?
I had to call my doctor back in.
Gonna make it, I believe. Got a little concurrence in that direction from ear, nose, and throat doctor today that did this, cut my ear and all down through here. Said he got out 4 cysts. I was thinking tumors, but he said cysts.
Thank you, Jimmy.
You're welcome. Get it all figured out, don't you?
May 13th, 2019, meeting's back in session. And continue on with our action agenda. And item A is courtroom A and B carpet replacement. And do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Item B, lease to the NC Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Do I have any motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. And item C, the proclamations. And it's also, just to summarize, it's the EMS Week proclamation, the Foster Care Month proclamation, and the Older Americans Month proclamation. I have a motion to approve these.
So moved.
Second.
A motion, second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Want you folks to remember this is Older Americans Month now. That's getting up close and personal with some of us.
I'll be sure to get you a card on that month. Move on to item D, the 2019 health dental insurance renew rates. Sir, I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Yance and a second from Commissioner Mendenhall.
I do this.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Did have one little discussion.
Yes, sir.
Should have mentioned it earlier, but I appreciate the work that our manager and Julia and particularly Gail, she's not here, put into getting what seems like a very good quote for us.
Mm-hmm.
Put some work in it and making sure that county saved some money this time by their efforts, so
Good.
I just wanted the board to know that.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I want to ask Shannon to take us into closed session.
Okay, just the rationales for closed session: to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3. To consider and take action with respect to the position to be taken by the county in negotiating the price or other material terms of an agreement for the acquisition or lease of real property pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A5. And to consider the initial employment or appointment of an individual to any office or position other than the vacancy in the Board of County Commissioners or any other public body, or to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, and fitness of any public officer or employee other than a member of the Board of Commissioners or of some other public body pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6.
All right, Shannon. We are now in closed session.
I need a motion.
I need a motion.
Motion to go into closed.
Second.
A motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Now in closed session.
Let me get the door for you.
Yeah, let me get
Which one you getting? I'll get the one far end if you want me to.
I'll get this one here.
All right. I'll go down and grab that.
turn back our way, yeah.
We good to go?
Good?
Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
A motion second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion's adjourned. Meeting adjourned.
Whatever happened on that? I was curious, we're talking about that for a while, but it seems to have died down.
Motion.
You carried it right through
Okay,
that.
stuff to sign.